physical activities in PE class, in the PE lesson, with integrated other subjects and knowledge about ASEAN community. And then we also give them practice how to use ICT with physical education lesson. And also we have the hands-on or on-hands training. So I would like you to see the video for 6 minutes. The video will show you the training program. But this is the PE teacher, not the children, not the student. So I would like them to bring back the program to their student. Just to click video and okay, yes. So you can see the teacher who was training us lead the group. And this we use tablet or smartphone. Talking about health education. And this is some kind of activity that we provide for school and community during our class in our faculty. You can look at our students with the yellow and red polo shirt, grade 6. And we should focus on sport, basketball, swimming, and football. This is our equipment in our faculty. So this is the video that I would like to show you how we can organize our training program. For the last slide, for the future, how we can move forward. We have to think about the future vision to promote. We have to give enough motor competence to be able to engage proficiency in activities of choice. Enough cardiovascular activity, muscular strength and flexibility to maintain a health-enhancing state of fitness. Early enough in life that positive views are developed and maintained and healthy habits developed. Enough knowledge to understand what and why and when and how often. Enough behavioral tools to prioritize activity in life. And last, schools as a place where motor skill competence is valued as much as academic competence. Thank you very much for your attention.
Well, that is a very interesting presentation. Everybody
Thank you
recognize.
very much for your presentation. Thank you.
And thank you, and give applause to the presenters.
Dan kepada Profesor Dr. Suprani Warwanca, kepada Profesor Dr. Brigadier Hakan SD, mohon berkenan untuk memberikan sertifikat dan cinta.
The softness in the night. I wish I was yours until you tell myself I'm free. Got the chance of living just for me. No need to hurry home now that you're gone. Night cuts like a knife. How will I ever heal? I'm so deeply wounded. Knife cuts like a knife. You cut away the heart of my life. When I pretend, wear a smile to fool my dearest friend. I wonder if they know it's just a show. I'm on a stage, day and night. I go through my charades, but how can I disguise what's in my eyes? Night cuts like a knife. How will I ever heal? I'm so deeply wounded. Night cuts like a knife. You cut away the heart of my life.
PhD dari University of Taipei, Taiwan, dengan dibantu oleh moderator Bapak Muhammad Arifin MPD. Kepada saudara moderator kami silakan.
Ladies and gentlemen, our next again in this plenary session, the second plenary session, will be Professor Chia Huaku, PhD, from the University of Taipei, Taiwan. And Bapak Muhammad Arifin, MPD, will be the moderator. Time is yours.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Kita akan memasuki pada sesi presentasi dari pemateri yang kedua, yaitu Profesor Chia Huaku dari University of Taipei. Backgroundnya lebih ke nutrisi sebetulnya, dan tulisannya nanti memang mengajak kita untuk masuk berputar-putar ke dunia enzim dan sebagainya. Ya. I tell the audience that maybe we will focus that you have a specialization in nutrition, that the audience will ready for the presentation. Okay.
thank you for the invitation by Unisa, and also thank you for the nice introduction by yes. Arifin. I'm sorry. Yeah. Today, before I make the presentation to my subject, I would like to give. Can we help next picture? Give a little introduction about University of Taipei. And actually, the most important mission for me to be here is to have student from any applicant from student from the University of Surabaya State University. And here, this is University of Taipei, as you can see. That is me. And you see the one who has the red shirt is actually Muhammad Ali Arif from UNIS, right? And he graduated in the second place in my department and becoming a faculty member in UNIS in Semara. So I'm also encouraged if anyone who are interested to study PhD program in Taiwan. So you're interested?
Ya, mungkin ini ajakan dari Universitas Taipei sangat membuka diri bagi teman-teman dari Indonesia untuk studi di sana, intinya seperti itu.
Next picture. So that is right beside the campus. As you can see, the campus is urban-based, and you can see it's right beside the shopping mall. So you will be quite happy if you study at the University of Taipei.
Ya, ini kampusnya ini ada di daerah perkotaan dan yang terutama dekat sama mall. Harapannya betah di sana.
Next. Okay, as you can see, this is outside campus. We have, if the student doesn't want to see us, they can always find space outside for thinking.
Ya, ini jelas misalnya thinking space besar kampus itu ruang untuk berpikir di samping kampus. Biasanya dia mencoba menarik minat kita dengan bahwa seperti itulah kondisi kampusnya, ada ruang-ruang seperti itu.
Okay, now is the time to get into the subject of my presentation. The first information that I would like to share with you is a very important aging study which shows the DHEA is one of the most important markers for longevity.
Ya, presentasinya beliau ini lebih mengajak kita fokus bagaimana untuk bisa hidup lebih lama, ya, bagaimana menghadapi penuaan dan sebagainya.
Okay. What is the relationship between longevity and the coping? What is the subject I'm going to talk about today? Is that we are continuously cope with the changes. Okay, we are resided in an environment which is continuously changed. So we are actually coping with the environment on a daily basis. And therefore the subject is quite important. The first most important information is longevity. If you can successfully cope with the environment, then you're going to have a good fitness and you are better survivors in the changing environment.
Ya, lebih peduli pada bahwa kita tahu bahwa lingkungan kita itu makin lama makin berubah dan tentu ini membutuhkan penyesuaian sehingga dengan presentasi ini kita bisa mendapatkan informasi tentang bagaimana supaya kita bisa hidup lebih panjang.
So as you can see from the picture, from graph over here, there are three major parameters has been measured, which is related to longevity. On the left-hand side, you see that is the data from NIA primate aging study. The primate represent rhesus monkey. So from here, you can see there are three parameters which reduce when monkey receive less amount of the food. The first one is temperature, drops if you eat less. The second one is insulin. It also drops when you receive less calorie. But you see the DHEA increases if you eat less. And those monkeys are tend to live much longer.
Ya, ini penelitian pada monyet yang intinya membandingkan kalau kita makan sedikit dan makan yang banyak. Ya, di sini ada gambaran bahwa ternyata yang kalau makan lebih sedikit ini yang survivalnya lebih tinggi.
Because of the result in monkey, you see temperature, insulin, and DHEA are the marker change when monkey live longer. And therefore, the author try to make the link with human. And on the right-hand side is showing a longevity study, which is conducted in the United States. It's called Baltimore longitudinal study of aging. And most of the subjects are male. And from the graph, from the first graph, you can see that if you have higher temperature, which is above average of the cohort, or if you have the higher insulin level, which is above the average of the cohort, then the survival is lower over the 25 years period.
Ya, saya juga bingung juga ini. Ya, karena ini saya menerjemahkan datanya ini. Jadi intinya mau membandingkan bahwa mana yang bisa survive lebih lama. Ya, ini yang sebelah kiri ini penelitian pada monyet, ya, dan sebelah kanan ini pada manusia. Ya, di sini ada gambar, jadi lebih ke survival. Ini ada lower, ada higher. Di sini ada insulin, ada temperatur, dan inisial D. Saya tanya sebelumnya, apa sih DHS itu? Itu semacam apa ya? Can you explain what the DHA is?
Oh yes. Now I'm going to explain the DHEA part. So the DHEA is different from insulin and body temperature. If you look at, for those people who has higher DHEA level, over the 25 years, they tend to survive much better than those who have lower DHEAs.
Oh, hormon ternyata. Jadi kalau hormonnya ini bagus, dia punya survival hampir 25 tahun lebih baik.
Because the longevity is more related to how can you cope with the environment. Because we know that when someone fails to cope with the environment, it's becoming disease. The illness is because you cannot cope with the normal environment. And therefore we are thinking the lower longevity in the low DHEA humans, is that because of the coping capacity is lower?
Ya, jadi gini, ternyata udah ketemu nih. Ternyata mintanya yang mau dipresentasikan ini hubungannya dengan coping movement ya. Jadi kemampuan kita bertahan dengan perubahan. Intinya kalau kita mempunyai DHEAS yang rendah, otomatis kemampuan kita mengikuti perubahan di lingkungan, kemampuan bergeraknya rendah, ini akan mengundang penyakit.
Okay, because as a human, as you might know, we cope with many challenges. For one example, you exercise yourself. That is a challenge to your human body. If you go to the mountain, the oxygen level drops, and therefore you need to cope with the low oxygen. And many often, you are coped with the mental challenge. So if you got blamed by your parent, then you need to cope with that. And when you lose the game, you are coping with the failure. Okay?
Yeah,
and if you go to the hot weather, hot weather like Surabaya is quite hot for me, so it's a challenge. So we are continuously coping with the challenge.
Ya, intinya kita hidup itu ya mau nggak mau harus menghadapi tantangan. Contohnya daerah Surabaya panas, untungnya dia sehat. Ya, nanti ada lagi challenge atau kita kalah dalam bertanding atau apa. Di sini kita ngomong tentang adjustment, tentang value, nilai. Kalau kalah nggak boleh dendam, kalau ini nggak boleh benci, nggak boleh bunuh diri dan sebagainya.
So over the past 10 years, in my group, we start to investigate what is the rule of the DHEA in coping with various stress. The stress include exercise, if you train yourself very hard, or if you put yourself in attitude.
Yeah.
Also, you are, many people like to use the fountain, hot spring. Some people like to join the hot spring. And also, there are many students, they are coping with the competition. So we're going to show you some evidence that what happens in DHEA when you cope with those kind of challenge.
Ya, fokusnya tetap dia punya kelompok ya yang meneliti tentang bagaimana untuk menentukan yang fair tentang posisi DAS ini dalam menghadapi semua tantangan. Dia ceritakan bahwa ada orang yang meluangkan atau mengatasi permasalahan ini dengan berikut kompetisi. Ada yang suka naik gunung, ada yang suka masuk gym. Nah, inilah yang menjadi konsep penelitiannya.
Okay, let me tell you what is the DHEA. As you can see from the graph, the DHEA is actually produced from cholesterol, and therefore we know the DHEA is a steroid. And you see that on the right lower part, you see the DHEA is actually the precursor for both male and female hormones.
Ya, ini gambarnya jelas. Ini kalau kimia ini kayaknya, ya. Tapi dari headline-nya jelas bahwa DHEA ini as mother of steroid hormones. Jadi dia mau menunjukkan bahwa kalau kondisi DHEA kita ini bisa diatasi karena ini sebagai ibu dari hormon yang ada di tubuh kita semua.
Does anyone know where the DHEA is produced?
Ada yang tahu nggak di mana DHEA ini diproduksi di tubuh kita? Backgroundnya ahli nutrisi nih beliau, makanya ngajak kita masuk dunia kimia.
Okay, actually it's produced. It's in adrenal cortex. Okay, the DHEA is produced in adrenal cortex. That is the upper layer of the kidney. So that is the most abundant place to produce the DHEAS. And most of the DHEA are in the form of DHEAS. Okay, before I get into more detail on the rule of the DHEAS, I would like to show you what is the link between the exercise and the DHEA. And this is the most important background that I would like to show you. That is the relation between longevity and exercise intensity.
Ya, ini menunjukkan tentang jenis-jenis aktivitas fisik ya yang bisa membantu untuk memproduksi DHEA tadi. Sebenarnya tempat produksinya tadi di selaput bagian atas dari ginjal. Ya. Nah, ini ada gambaran tentang jenis aktivitasnya. Ada vigorous, ada moderate atau leisure time activities. Di sini ada what is the
Let me explain. Let me explain in more detail about the graph. This is the relative risk of mortality if you exercise at different intensity. Okay, if you see that on the left hand side, you see there are 5 different exercise intensity. In the upper side, you see vigorous exercise and sports. And when you see the lower part, the exercise intensity gets lower. And you see physical activity for transportation and walking are the lowest one. If you see on the right hand side, that is the time of exercise, and the number that you saw is the relative risk of mortality. And as you can see here, you can see if you exercise 300 minutes per week, if you are doing walking, then the relative risk is only 0.86. That means you are lowering your mortality by 14%, 15%. But if you exercise a vigorous activity, then if you are exercise more than 300 minutes, then if you look at the number, is 0.61. That represents, it lowers the mortality rate by 39%.
Ya, mortality ini keabadian. Jadi harapannya dengan membandingkan kelima kegiatan ini peluang hidup lebih lama, intinya seperti itu. Ya, di sini ada, kalau Anda berjalan kaki, di sini bisa lebih tahan lama hidupnya 0,86%.
Okay, so this study gives you an idea. If you exercise at high intensity, which will give you more damage, right? But you live longer. Okay, so what is the mechanism behind this? And what is the rule of the DHEA when you exercise to cause the damage to your muscle?
Ya, ini contoh ya. Kalau kita exercise-nya dengan intensitas tinggi, ya, ini memang membahayakan, tapi bisa hidup lebih lama. Saya nggak tahu maksudnya apa yang mati karena futsal atau dan sebagainya tuh, ternyata yang mati cuma sedikit, tapi yang lebih panjang hidupnya banyak. Maksudnya gitu.
Remember, this morning there's a question for Dr. Lim that if you do eccentric exercise, would it be damaged more in your muscle? And Dr. Lim gave the answer. If you do this, then you have more damage, but muscle grows much better. You have a greater muscle power.
Ya, ini contohkan tadi yang presentasinya Dr. Lim. Kalau kita melakukan eccentric ya, exercise, memang membahayakan. Karena apa? Kita paksa otot ini untuk lebih panjang, merekam lebih panjang, tapi efeknya hebat. Ototnya akan menjadi lebih besar.
Okay, now you know the relationship between the longevity and exercise intensity. We can move on next. Okay, before we get into the subject, I would like to give you a review. What is the benefits of the exercise? Okay. The first one is if you exercise, you're going to have a better insulin sensitivity. And it also prevents obesity, which will be much helpful for reduce the insulin and glucose. And the exercise training also gives the increase of the muscle mass, as you might already know. And the physical exercise will improve the physical function. And most of the evidence for all those came from the study that the subject is less than 80 years old, because it's very hard to get a subject for more than 80 years old. And the reason I say that is because if you are old enough, for those people who are aged more than 80 years old, the DHEAS is going to be very low.
Ya, ini manfaat kesehatan kalau kita latihan, meningkatkan sensitivitas insulin, mencegah obesitas, meningkatkan massa otot, meningkatkan physical function. Physical function ini yang dimaksud kita punya kekencang, punya daya tahan, power dan sebagainya. Dan rata-rata penelitiannya berumur di bawah 80 tahun karena jarang bisa menemukan sampel untuk penelitian itu di atas 80 tahun. Tapi dipastikan kalau dia berumur di atas 80 tahun ke atas, itu DES-nya pasti bagus.
You know, the simple way to determine whether you are more insulin sensitive or not is very easy. You just measure your blood to see what is the concentration of the insulin. If you have high insulin, that means the insulin sensitivity is low. Okay.
Ya, sebetulnya sangat mudah untuk menentukan posisi DES dalam tubuh kita. Itu ternyata cukup dengan menggunakan tekanan darah, ya, sehingga bisa diketahui sensitivitas insulin pada tubuh Anda.
Okay. That is because if your body is less sensitive to insulin, then the pancreas will try to produce more insulin to tell your muscle to uptake glucose.
Ya, kalau kita mempunyai insulin yang rendah, akan memaksa pankreas untuk bekerja lebih keras, ya, terutama untuk kontraksi otot-otot.
Okay. The reason I tell this is try to make you think between the reason why higher insulin people die early, and that is because the reduced insulin sensitivity.
Ya, kenapa kita menemukan orang dengan insulin yang tinggi itu lebih cepat meninggal? Ya, ini kita akan jelaskan pada berikutnya.
Okay, so you see the benefit of the exercise. You can see the link between the exercise and mortality. So let's go to the next. Okay, so what about the DHEAS? Okay, it is, as you see here, on the left-hand side is the data from monkey, and on the right-hand side, that is the data for human, both male and female. As you can see, with aging, the DHEAS level drops significantly for both monkey and human. Okay, you do not see DHEA in rats. Okay, you only see the long-lived animal has the high DHEA. Most of the short-lived animal does not produce DHEA.
Ya, ini menekankan bahwa ini yang sebelah kiri ini pada monyet, ya, di situ ada terjadi penurunan DES, dan di sebelah kanan ini pada manusia. Yang kita perhatikan adalah bagaimana penurunan ini bisa, kalau di monyet itu drop-nya langsung sehingga meninggal lebih cepat, tapi kalau di manusia ini pelan-pelan turunnya.
Okay. From today's seminar, I'm trying to convince you that the reason that DHEA is lower, okay, the reason that DHEA is lower, that is because your body is consuming more as you get older.
Ya, kita diyakinkan oleh sama beliau, ya, bahwa kenapa kita terjadi penurunan, karena memang kita survive, tubuh kita membutuhkan daya tahan yang terus-menerus sehingga terjadi penurunan DES.
Next, just go to next. Okay, here I would like to show you that the benefit of the exercise training on insulin sensitivity. Okay, as you can see on the right-hand side, that is the insulin level, and you see the higher curve is the dancer who are trained, and on the lower curve, that is when the dancer is not trained.
Ya, ini penelitiannya pada dancer, ya. Ya, di sini kita lihat ada dua pembanding, yang di sebelah kiri itu glukosa darah, yang sebelah kanan itu insulin. Tapi yang jelas pembandingan atas dan bawah itu antara yang terlatih dan tidak terlatih.
So this study is performed in Taiwan. And as you can see, if you exercise train, then the insulin level drops. Okay, keep in mind that if you have a lower insulin, you can live longer. So that also gives you the link between what is the link between the insulin and longevity, and why exercise can make you live longer.
Ya, di sini tambahin bahwa kenapa dengan latihan ini Anda dapat hidup lebih panjang. Tadi kan statementnya kalau insulinnya tinggi gampang meninggal. Nah, dengan exercise itu bisa menurunkan insulin.
Okay, now we get into the most important part. What is the rule of DHEAS? Okay, this is the study also performed in my lab. We found that for those people get very old, the age is more than 80s, if you have the low DHEA, then the training will fail. The training will fail.
Ya, jadi ini training itu akan memberikan efek untuk DHEAS untuk memperpanjang umur Anda. Akan tetapi kalau sudah berumur, training itu justru akan tidak akan memperpanjang.
Okay, this is the profile for participants who are aged more than 80 years. As you can see, the age is 83.5 and 83.9. So those subjects are quite old.
Ya, di sini subjeknya umurnya 83, 83 years.
Yeah, the two group. You see the two
Dua grup ya.
On the left hand side, the lower half represent the elderly has lower DHEAS. On the right hand side, the upper half represent the elderly who has higher DHEA level.
Jadi penelitian dibagi dua kelompok. Yang sebelah kiri ini DHEAS-nya rendah, kalau yang sebelah kanan ini DHEAS-nya tinggi.
Okay, so from the lowest part, you see the DHEAS level. You can see that for the lower half has very small amount of DHEAS.
Jadi sebelah kiri ya menekankan lagi bahwa yang sebelah kiri mempunyai DHEAS yang lebih rendah, sementara sebelah kanan DHEAS-nya lebih tinggi.
So that's the exercise training outcome for 4 months. So if you put the elderly on a training program for 4 months, that is the result on blood pressure. As you can see on the right hand side, you see the upper half, and you see exercise training improve the diastolic blood pressure, resting heart rate, fasted triglyceride, and fasted cholesterol. But if you look at on the left hand side, that is the elderly who has little amount of the DHEAS. You see no difference after 4 months of the exercise.
Ya, ini menekankan pentingnya DHEAS ya. Jadi ada penelitian dibagi dua kelompok, dikasih latihan selama 4 bulan. Ya, kalau DHEAS-nya ini yang sebelah kiri ini tidak mempunyai pengaruh apa-apa karena DHEAS-nya rendah. Tapi yang sebelah kanan karena DHEAS-nya tinggi, hasilnya sangat bagus sekali ya, dari resting heart rate-nya maupun yang lain.
Okay, so the most important implication of the study is give you the idea. If you look at the people who are old enough, some people they live quite well, but some people they cannot adapt to any changes. And the DHEA level experience some of that.
Ya, ini menunjukkan kadang kita melihat ada orang tua dengan umur yang sama, yang satunya kelihatan sehat, yang satunya kelihatan tidak sehat, atau bahkan sakit yang mengancam kematiannya. Ini dipengaruhi oleh level of DHEAS-nya.
Okay, this is the low DHEA group has no improvement in physical function. As you can see on the right hand side, that is the elderly who has normal DHEAS level, then you see improvement in reaction time and the local local motion time. So it's improved by exercise training. But on the left-hand side, you see there is no any improvement if you exercise training.
Ya, ini ditegaskan lagi bahwa menyambung yang tadi bahwa dengan aktiviti apapun kalau kita punya DS yang rendah, ini no improvement in physical function, jadi tidak ada manfaatnya untuk fungsi kemampuan fisik kita. Yang sebelah kanan karena DS-nya tinggi mempunyai efek yang bagus sekali.
Okay, and the data I'm going to show you is the insulin, as I already explained about what is the insulin mean in terms of the longevity and insulin sensitivity. And this is make a comparison between the low DHEAS and the high DHEAS in elderly. They have different response. Okay, if you look at on the right hand side, for those people who has the high DHEA, if they exercise strength for 4 months, then you see the insulin drops. But on the left-hand side, you see for those who has very low DHEAS, you see a positive effect on the insulin after check.
Ya, ini makin jelas gambarnya ya, bahwa meskipun dengan beban latihan yang sama, tapi kalau kondisi DS-nya ini berbeda, ini ternyata di situ yang garis titik-titik itu pretestnya. Ternyata yang sebelah kiri itu kalau DS-nya rendah malah meningkatkan insulinnya, membahayakan tubuh. Tapi yang di sebelah kanan pretestnya itu setelah post-test insulinnya langsung drop jauh ke bawah, dan ini bagus untuk memperpanjang hidup.
Okay, from here you can see a nice linear relationship between your baseline DHEAS level and the improvement of the insulin is negative correlation, but it's very significant.
Ya, ini insulin ya, low DHEAS individual has an improvement in insulin after training. Itu menegaskan lagi bahwa individu yang dengan DHEAS-nya rendah ini mau dilatih apapun tidak ada peningkatan, terutama mengenai insulinnya setelah training.
Okay, the conclusion at the moment is that the training adaptation in metabolic and physical measures failed in low DHEA group. So that explains why the people get older has less coping capacity compared to the young people.
Ya, konklusinya ini intinya yaitu terutama training adaptation, ya, adaptasi latihan itu akan percuma ya kalau kita mempunyai DS, kelompok DS yang rendah. Ini yang menyebabkan kenapa semakin tua kita ada yang masih sehat, masih kelihatan kuat, ada yang sudah nggak bisa menirukan gerakan seperti 5 tahun yang lalu, ya karena masalah di yang rendah.
Okay, then we ask the question, what happened after exercise training? Okay, we all know exercise training will increase the lifespan, lowers the mortality. And for those people who has low DHEA, has a shorter longevity. So what happened after exercise in DHEA?
Ya, ditegaskan lagi, sekali lagi masalah rendah atau tingginya DS ini ternyata sangat mempengaruhi mortality itu ke panjang hidup kita atau keabadian kita.
Next. So we perform a study which will produce the muscle damage, which is the strength training. And after the strength training, we look at the DHEA level over time. Okay, so next.
Ya, ini
Okay.
strength training ya. Oke.
So this is the next. Yes. So this is the DHEAS level after the resistance exercise. So the subject of the study is actually young people, but they have very high level of the DHEA, and they are actually athletes. But as you can see, after exercise training, the DHEA will not drop at 24 hours, but it drops at 48 and 72 hours. And that is the time when you have severe muscle pain. The muscle gets sore.
Ya, ini dicontohkan menurunnya kadar DS setelah strength training. Ternyata setelah 72 jam pada titik terendah, istilahnya kalau orang Jawa bilang jarumnya itu pada 3 hari yang ini baru muncul. Ya, yang pertama menurunnya pelan-pelan. Ternyata dropnya yang paling tinggi setelah 72 jam. Ya, ini Pak, sehingga muncul muscle soreness ya, yaitu rasa sakit di otot.
Okay, let me explain a little bit. When you do the weight training, you will get inflammation because the muscle is damaged a little, and that will cause the inflammation. And the inflammation has two phases. The first phases of the inflammation is to destroy the unhealthy muscle cell. And the second phase is when the muscle cell has been destroyed, you're going to have the regrowth of the new muscle fiber. And that is the period when you start to experience the pain.
Ya, ini kalau kita melakukan latihan strength training, ini kan namanya inflamasi, itu merusak otot. Tapi fasenya ada dua. Ya, yang pertama dia akan merusak otot, tapi fase yang kedua akan menumbuhkan ya, jaringan otot atau memperbarui. Dan disinilah Anda bisa merasakan sakit di otot.
Some people consider inflammation as a bad sign, but I would like to give you another direction of the view. After exercise training, if you have the muscle inflammation, then the inflammation will drive the muscle growth.
Ya, ditekankan lagi, memang kita strength training merusak otot, tapi justru itu akan yang merangsang otot untuk tumbuh kembali.
Okay, so from here you can see the muscle start to grow at the 48 and 72 hours when you have the muscle pain, and that is the time when the DHEA is significantly dropped.
Ya, ini yang memberi gambaran ya, kenapa 72 jam ini DS-nya turun, ya, tapi disitulah memproduksi otot yang jaringan otot yang rusak karena latihan strength training tadi. Itu sebabnya kenapa DS-nya turun di 72 jam itu.
Okay, so we speculate that maybe the DHEA is consumed during the repairment. So when you are repairing you are renewing your muscle cell, you require the DHEA.
Ya, jadi melanjutkan lagi, pada saat Anda membutuhkan sel-sel otot yang baru, itu sangat banyak membutuhkan DS. Kenapa di sini DS-nya turun di 72 jam ini?
So if you have a very low DHEA available, then you have no resource for repair. Okay, that's our speculation.
Ya, ini spekulasi dari beliau bahwa pada saat kita mempunyai DS yang rendah ini, ya, potensinya untuk sel-sel yang baru untuk otot ini juga ikut terpengaruh.
Okay, now I'm going to show you the second evidence to give you another kind of a challenge to human body. That is altitude hiking, which is moderate physical activity, but the oxygen level is quite low. It's about 2,000 to 3,000 meters and added.
Ya, di sini akan ditunjukkan menurunnya DS setelah melakukan aktivitas mendaki gunung. Karena kita ketahui mendaki gunung itu sebetulnya moderate activity ya, tapi karena altitude-nya sampai 2000 sampai 3000 meter juga punya pengaruh yang besar.
Next. So as you can see, we divide the young people into two groups according to their DHEAS level. And this is, you see the dark bar and the light bar represent high DHEA and low DHEA group. And as you can see, on day 3 at altitude, you will see significant drop in the DHEAS level only for those people who has high DHEAS.
Ya, di sini ada gambaran yang sebelah kiri itu DS levelnya, dan ini yang sebelah kanan ada yang gelap dan yang terang. Itu menunjukkan yang gelap itu DS-nya tinggi, yang terang itu DS-nya rendah. Dan ini dari hari ke hari bisa kita lihat mana yang DS-nya tinggi ternyata mengalami penurunan dan kenaikan lagi dibanding yang terang yang DS-nya rendah, dia tetap aja di angka yang rendah juga.
Okay, as you can see, the low DHEAS people, although they are young, you see no drop in the DHEAS. That might give you information that when I have the low DHEA, I have nothing to consume. Okay.
Ya, jadi untuk menegaskan kalau kita mempunyai DS yang rendah, ya, kita tidak mempunyai kemampuan untuk beradaptasi lebih lanjut.
Next. So this is we also measure the aerobic fitness by measuring the VO2 max. I'm sure most of you already know how to measure the VO2 max, and as you can see, on the left-hand side is the young people who has the low DHEA. And on the right-hand side is the one who has the high DHEA. If you look at the sea level VO2 max value, you can understand if you have the low DHEAS level, the VO2 max is significantly lower than the high DHEAS group at sea level.
Ya, di sini digambarkan kalau tadi dengan hiking, sekarang dengan aerobic fitness. Ya, tetap pada penekanan bahwa orang dengan low DS, ya, DS-nya akan mempunyai daya tahan yang lebih rendah daripada orang yang high DS-nya.
Okay, and this is the adaptation and attitude. As you can see, on the left-hand side and the right-hand side respond differently. For those who has the high DHEAS level, you can see the red blood cell, RBC represent the red blood cell, is improved only in the high DHEAS level. And the third one is the hemoglobin. The third one is hemoglobin. It also shows when you go to the mountain, the hemoglobin level will go up only if you have the high DHEAS.
Ya, di sini menekankan pentingnya DS yang tinggi karena bisa berpengaruh terhadap ini red blood cell darah merah dan juga hemoglobin yang bisa untuk meningkat juga karena dengan tuntutan untuk aktivitas.
Okay, we all know that the most important hormone that will tell your bone marrow to produce the red blood cell, that is the EPO. But this is what we found. We saw that the EPO level is very high in the low DHEA group.
Ya, ini menggambarkan kegagalan beradaptasi, ya, yang berhubungan dengan EPO level in blood. Ya, di sini ada gambarannya yang terang dan yang gelap. Jangan kira tadi terangnya bagus, tinggi bagus, ternyata enggak, ini hubungannya dengan kegagalan beradaptasinya lebih tinggi. Ya, kalau tadi kan yang terang rendah-rendah terus, ini masalah kualitas yang sekarang tinggi karena gagal beradaptasi.
Yeah, so that means your body is trying to produce a lot of the EPO to make the red blood cell, but your bone marrow just not responding.
Ya, IPO ini apa singkatan apa? Ada yang tahu? Eritro? Oh iya, saya tidak tahu. Oke.
Next. Okay, this is as you can see, the EPO level, that is triangle. You see the hemoglobin is the circle. You see the dot, that is hemoglobin. And you see the EPO is increasing with age. So that means when we get older, we are able to maintain our red blood cell, but we must produce more EPO to make our body to produce the red blood cell.
Ya, ini hubungannya dengan proses penuaan. Ya, di sini ada yang segitiga ini lah IPO level, dan yang ini hemoglobin, artinya untuk memproduksi supaya kita bisa bertahan dengan sel darah merahnya, kita harus punya IPO level yang stabil juga.
Yes. Okay. This is the heat stress. If you put yourself in the hot fountain, then the DHEAS level will drop.
Ya, ini untuk menekan, ini gambaran untuk heat stress ya, stres terhadap panas. Ya, di sini ada gambaran tetap aja yang low DHEAS ini punya resiko yang lebih tinggi.
And as you can see, this is cortisol. Cortisol is the physiological stress. Okay, the cortisol reflects the physiological stress. And as you can see, if you have the high DHEAS level, then the cortisol drops. But if you have the low DHEAS level, then the cortisol increases.
Ya, di sini ya dihubungkan dengan ini kortisol ya, ini hubungannya dengan increased stress in hot spring ya. Di cuaca panas ya, di sini tetap terlihat bahwa yang low DHEAS mempunyai risiko yang lebih tinggi.
Okay, so if you are the people who has the high DHEAS level, you put yourself in the hot spring, you are very enjoyable. But if you have the low DHEAS level, you put yourself in the hot spring, you feel not very comfortable.
Ya. Kalau Anda punya DHEAS yang tinggi, ditaruh di hot spring, Anda akan malah merasa nyaman. Tapi kalau DHEAS-nya rendah, di hot spring itu akan terasa menyakitkan.
Yes. Okay. Now the last evidence that I would like to show you is the mental code in golf competition. Next. Okay. If you see in University of Taipei, we have a very good golfer team, and we measure everyone's the DHEA after the competition. Some people they win, some people they lost. So some people made the cut, and some people fails. And if you look at the DHEA on those people who fails, you will see the DHEA drop significantly over the five-day period.
Ya, di sini dia memberi gambaran bahwa di sana para golfnya bagus-bagus, dan di sini ada gambaran DHEAS drop only in the failed group. Ya, jadi bagi kelompok yang menang itu masih bertahan dengan baik, dan kelompok yang kalah ini drop only in the failed group. Jadi hanya di kelompok yang kalah ini aja yang mengalami drop DHEAS-nya.
Okay, and this is we give the subject to eat the DHEA, which will increase the DHEAS level. And as you can see, you see the higher curve, that is the one who give the DHEA supplementation. So they have the high DHEAS level. But when they start to do the weight training, you see a drop in the DHEAS on the day shift.
Ya, di sini strength training, ya.
Yeah. So you have two groups.
Ada 2 grup, ya. Yang di sini strength training ternyata untuk grup yang di bawah yang pertama itu ternyata stagnan, ya. Jadi tidak membawa dampak yang baik. Sementara yang kedua ini mengalami kenaikan yang sangat bagus, sehingga strength training ini ternyata menurunkan DS-nya. Nanti di slide berikutnya baru ketahuan.
Next. Okay, from here you can see that if you take the DHEA, that will lower the blood CK level, which is the muscle regeneration marker. So that means you recover much faster if you have a high DHEA.
Ya, di sini strength training accelerate cell death. Jadi dengan latihan strength training ini ternyata membawa efek matinya sel-sel otot, ya. Tapi kita nggak usah khawatir, dalam tubuh kita ada DES yang akan mempercepat untuk proses pemulihannya atau membentuk sel-sel yang baru.
Next. Okay, this is the conclusion of the presentation. The DHEA appears to be consumed during repairing period after challenge. And this challenge includes exercise training, heat stress, the mental challenge. And the low DHEAS may reflect relative efficiency of the DHEA against the repair demand. And the low DHEAS is associated with the poor aerobic fitness. And the DHEAS is associated with the mental coping. The low fitness express reduced longevity in low DHEA.
Ya, ini slide terakhir, ya. Jadi intinya tentang kita dikenalkan tentang DS ini, bahwa DS ini dikonsumsi saat kita pada periodisasi repairing untuk pembentukan kembali. Setelah kita melakukan aktivitas, di sini ada latihan atau stres karena panas atau tantangan mental atau stres karena permasalahan mental. Yang kedua, DS yang rendah ini merefleksikan bahwa terjadi penurunan, ya, atau kemampuan penurunan untuk melawan tuntutan kita untuk selalu mengalami pemulihan. Ya. Kemudian low DS yang rendah ini berhubungan dengan kondisi yang buruk, ya, kondisi yang buruk. Dan kemudian DS ini berhubungan dengan kemampuan mengatasi tekanan mental. Dan yang terakhir, fitness yang rendah, ya, secara jasmani yang rendah dijelaskan disebabkan karena penurunan pada DES pada manusia. Jadi intinya kita dikenalkan bahwa DES ini ternyata mempunyai peran penting dalam rangka kita untuk pemulihan untuk sel-sel otot yang rusak, dan juga dalam rangka kita memenuhi tuntutan jasmani maupun rohani, karena di sini ada mental juga, ada fisik juga untuk mengatasi tuntutan-tuntutan dalam kehidupan sehari-hari. Ya. Bu.
Yeah.
Ya.
Okay, thank you for listening. I would like to invite, if you are interested to go to Taipei, and this is the mosque in Taipei, which is beautiful. So if you go to Taipei, you have a place to pray. Thank you very much.
Ini bagian terakhir yang disampaikan, intinya mengundang Anda untuk datang ke sana. Itu tadi ada gambarnya masjid, ya, ada gambarnya bahwa Anda usah di kampusnya itu ternyata banyak food courtnya juga, bisa makan-makan enak, ya. Dan yang terakhir ini selamat datang, ya, nanti 2015 diharapkan di antara kita ada yang bisa berangkat ke sana. Kita kasih plus.
Please write down the website. We have the International Society for Adaptive Medicine. which is very close to exercise physiology. If you are interested in exercise physiology, please submit your abstract to here. And the 2005 is going to be in Japan, so if you like to go, just visit the website.
Ya, sekali lagi aplaus buat Profesor Ciawanto dari University of Cambridge. Mungkin dari presentasi beliau, karena memang backgroundnya ahli nutrisi. Nah, sekarang pada saat sesi tanya jawab, saya berharap Anda bisa menemukan antara kenyataan dan harapan khususnya dalam dunia olahraga, baik prestasi, pendidikan jasmani maupun dalam kehidupan sehari-hari, sehingga apa yang disampaikan beliau ini bisa membawa manfaat, ya, bahwa ternyata ada pengetahuan tentang DES dan kemampuan, ya, untuk mengatasi tuntutan hidup baik secara fisik maupun secara mental. Kami buka sesi pertanyaan, ya, silakan angkat tangan dan disebutkan nama dari mana, dan nanti bisa langsung ditanggapi oleh beliau. Baik, silakan. Nah, Bapak Dekan Unesa ini bertanya, karena saya tahu beliau backgroundnya ahli nutrisi juga.
Terima kasih. I have a question for Dr. Semani. Ketika saya menyimak tadi, saya melihat bahwa DES itu kalau tinggi itu bagus, kalau rendah itu kurang bagus. Nah, kemudian ketika aktivitas, apakah jenis aktivitas apakah yang mungkin bisa menaikkan DES sehingga kita bisa memiliki DES yang lebih tinggi? Itu yang pertama. Kemudian yang kedua, ketika kita melihat ada beberapa atlet yang meninggal di lapangan, mungkin kita masih terngiang pemain sepak bola ternama juga yang lagi asik bermain, kemudian dia tiba-tiba pingsan langsung meninggal. Nah, apakah itu ada kaitannya dengan DES itu? Terima kasih.
Oke, terima kasih Pak Agus. I would like to translate the question of Mr. Agus. The first question is about the level of DES. What kind of activity that can promote level of DES can high? So it seems like a long life.
You know, one of the reasons that if you exercise harder, you live longer, is because if you exercise hard, then you would kill unhealthy cell. Okay, so that is the reason you kill your unhealthy cell because of the exercise. But that is under the condition if you exercise hard enough. Okay. After you kill your muscle, your cell, you start to enter the phases that you have a lot of new cell growth. And during the cell growth, you're going to have the DHEA consumed during this period. So that is the reason why you exercise will reduce the DHEA. But once you renew yourself for your entire body, then the DHEA is supposed to go very high because you do not consume DHEA anymore. The entire system is new.
Ya, ini sistem tubuh bagus. Jadi kalau kita melakukan aktivitas fisik dengan intensitas tinggi, ternyata dia akan membunuh sel-sel yang tidak sehat. Nah, untuk memperbarui sel yang baru ini, DES akan turun karena dibutuhkan untuk sel, dan tidak usah khawatir karena dengan sel-sel yang baru yang menyehatkan badan, secara otomatis naiknya ini akan meningkatkan ISDS. Yeah, the second question. Yeah. Maybe yesterday at YouTube, famous about the Indian soccer player celebrate goal die. Yeah. Is there any connection with about this? Yes. Soccer player.
Actually, I don't know the literature about the longevity of the soccer player, but you know the soccer player has different lifestyle than normal people. As you you might already know, because the soccer player, they are more celebrity. So we know the celebrity, they have a different lifestyle than us. So that is very hard to make the scientific assessment on what is the reason that those people, they are survive different period compared to us.
Ya, intinya mungkin secara saintifik memang belum bisa dibuktikan dengan DDS, tapi memberi gambaran saja menurut pendapat beliau, ini atlet itu punya gaya hidup sendiri, ya, sehingga perlu penelitian yang lebih detail kenapa hal tersebut bisa terjadi, ya, mungkin itu. Next question, iya, Mike. Disebutkan nama dan dari mana.
Okay, thank you. My name is Lucy. I'm I can talk about training periodization. Training periodization. If I see at your PowerPoint, you get good point in strength training for childhood DAS, prepare. And if I know about the strength training, what is your exercise model to get the strength training in DAS required for repair at your PowerPoint? And how to get a good exercise in your periodization training? Maybe can be 1 until 25 days in your experiments. I'm sorry if my English language is poor. Okay. And maybe
speak more slowly.
You can speak slowly, or you can speak Indonesian.
Thank you. Mungkin nutrisi yang akhirnya masuk untuk latihan atau untuk mendapatkan DAS insulin ini, itu makanan yang seperti apa? Contohnya dalam periodisasi latihan mungkin 1 kali 24 jam istirahat lalu latihan lagi dan lain sebagainya. Dan macam-macam latihannya di sini tuh latihan yang seperti apa? Tuh exercise model. Thank you.
Yes, with the training cycles for athletes, they have a periodization, they have training, recovery, and nutrition. So that's why the question is what kind of nutrition that can promote for the DAS, yeah, and include in the periodization of training, because you know athlete sometimes today, this evening they practice, then they recover, then tomorrow morning they practice again. Maybe if a professional athlete or performance athlete will training twice a day. So there's a question about how to overcome this problem, about the kind of nutrition and about the training session.
Lucy, thank you for your question. But in fact, I do not know any literature that has been done to provide an answer. The only thing I know is that you see the graph, the first graph. Yeah, the first one. Okay, yes. You see on the lower left-hand side, you see the monkey study. Okay, you see when the monkey receive lower amount of the calorie, then the DHEAS level increase. So if you eat less, then the DHEA gets higher. Okay. Another way to raise the DHEAS level is just to take the DHEA. However, the DHEA is a banned substance. For athletes, you cannot eat DHEA. But when we get older, we can have the DHEA. In fact, I would like to tell you that for men like us, when we take the DHEA, we don't feel anything. But for women, if you take the DHEA, that will increase the ratio, the probability of the pregnancy. You know that?
Oh. Ya, jadi ini senyawa kimia. Ya, DS ini senyawa kimia yang terikat ya, dan mungkin secara nutrisi kita tidak bisa memberi gambaran yang spesifik. Ya kan, tapi itu normally di tubuh akan mempunyai kemampuan untuk survival sesuai dengan yang ditanyakan Bapak Agus tadi, ya, dengan exercise, ya, dan yang jelas kalau di laki-laki itu kalau kita kondisinya mungkin nggak merasakan apa-apa, sehat saja, tapi kalau di perempuan itu bisa apa, gampang mengandung, ya, cepat hamil. Ya, seperti itu. Ya.
Well, I think if you are pregnant, then you have a lot of cell proliferation in your body, and that will increase the clearance rate of the DHEA.
Ya, jadi selama kita mengandung, memang kita akan pertumbuhan bayi ini akan menyebabkan DHEA ini akan menurun juga. Oke, next. Ya, Bu Yuli silakan. Mike.
Psychological things that affect, because you talk about golfer, when they lose whatever things that, you know, DHEA is dropping. So is there any possibility, let's say, we got a mental training, some kind like maybe you make them happy or watch certain things, and then when they're happy or they got, you know, no more stress, can possibly the DHEA will be increased?
Yeah, thank you for the question, Dr. Lee. I think that is a good subject for future study because no one has been looking at that. But I can tell you there's evidence that if you are anyone under depression, then if you have the DHEA, if you increase the DHEAS level by taking the DHEA, then the depression level will drop. So now the DHEA has been used for anti-depression. And what is depression? You know, actually the depression has been described is the period of the adaptation. So that is the when the neuron are quite unhealthy, under challenge, then when you have the renew of the neuron, then it will help your brain to slow down. So that is the time when you have the depression. And it appears that if you have high enough the DHEAS level, you are more capable to repair faster. So I think that this will be the interesting research question to be pursued. So we can collaborate.
Ya, Mr. menanyakan bahwa tadi kan DS ini kan ada pengaruhnya physical and mental. Terus pertanyaannya adalah ini dari sisi mentalnya, ya, apakah kita dengan membuat mereka bahagia, mereka bergairah, mau tani dan sebagainya, apakah bisa merangsang naiknya DS ini? Ternyata dijawab bahwa, nah ini bahan penelitian yang menarik untuk diteliti, karena memang belum ada penelitiannya. Oke.
Thank you. Okay, next we're talking about, let's say, you talk about just now the after the strength training, and because of the repairing, so that the DHEA was consumed to repair the system. What happened if, let's say, we inject a lot of high protein? So because the high protein is also help to repair the muscles. So what happened in the DPA, maybe is it rising or is it still maintained?
I think you are very smart. You are thinking about protein is the agent which will accelerate recovery. You already know that. But if you put the DHEA together with the protein, in my knowledge, I haven't seen any study on that. So maybe you can you can study out there and make the profit for them.
Can I ask one more question?
Yeah.
No problem, Pak Lim.
Last question.
One more question. Alright, since you talk about DHEA, it's talking about because human being in terms of rising and decreasing of DHEA, is there any study on the
Mike.
yeah, thumbs up, I think so.
So you have to speak loudly, Pak Lim.
Yeah, I think everybody can hear me, alright, this will be an interesting question because you talk about DHEA and something like that, and then how about comparing, let's say example, a lot of people talking about any supplement or something like that to increase the sex performance for males.
Interesting question.
Well, that is beyond my knowledge. But the only thing I'm sure about, along the question, okay, is that for male, the only available way to increase the function, the sexual function, is the testosterone. But it only works for when you have the deficiency. But if you do not have the deficiency, then it's not helpful. Okay. But keep in mind that if you want to measure whether or not you have enough testosterone, the only reliable marker is not the total testosterone, it's the free testosterone. Okay. For one example, if you are the age, let's say 48, okay, we've done the experiment and published the data. If you are at age 48 years old, then if you measure the total testosterone level, which is about the same compared to the age they are only 100, it's about the same. But if you look at the free testosterone, it's only 1/3 of the young level. So the testosterone, if you make it up to the young level, then the sexual function will be restored. For the DHEAS, it's quite different. For male like us, if we take the DHEAS, there's no effect on the sexual function. Nothing happens. But for female, then it will increase the sexual function for the female. They will experience negative effects of the DHEAS.
Iya, kita menyaksikan perbincangan para profesor sangat menarik sekali. Ya, yang terakhir ini pertanyaan tentang hubungannya dengan kemampuan seksual. Ya, tapi dijelaskan di awal bahwa kemampuan seksual pria itu hubungannya dengan testosteron, ya, dengan hormon itu. Tapi khusus wanita ternyata hubungannya dengan DHEAS ini ada. Ya, for the woman increase ya, ya meningkatkan gairah seksual.
Aku orang coba
Ya, ya oke. Last question. Makin panas.
Ya,
Silakan.
Prof. I just want to know in what way does the HCAS affect CO2 mix? Since the formula CO2 mix, the DHEAS, in what way does DHEAS affect CO2 mix?
Can you go to that? Okay, here, yeah, that's a good question. Actually, I don't quite, I only can give you the possible mechanism. I'm not completely sure about the relationship, why the high DHEAS group has higher VO2 max. So I'm not quite sure. But actually, we repeat the study, not only for male, but for female. We just complete another study. It's very similar. For female, then you have a high DHEAS level. You will also have greater muscle strength. in female. And the reason for that, we are not quite sure, but let me make a possible mechanism for that. You know, sometimes you feel your fitness is better than some other times, and that is because you are fully recovered from previous challenge. So we are facing challenge every day, right? So you will find that the fitness level for yourself is varying with time. Okay, so when you recover, then your DHEAS level return to the normal level, and that is probably the time when you have the higher fitness. So that means you are recovered. So actually, my personal view on the DHEAS level, why you have the higher fitness when you have the high DHEAS level, that is because you are fully recovered. So you are better, you can sustain the challenge when you already renew your system.
Yeah, okay. One more question, does it also act as an antioxidant? DHEAS. Does it function also as antioxidant?
Antioxidant.
Yeah.
Okay. For some people, they found that when you have the high DHEAS level, then the free radical is less. But actually, I would like to give you the information that we always think the free radicals is bad. However, free radical is very important signal to induce the stem cell localization to the damaged site, including muscle. So when you have the free radical, then the stem cell can localize into the place where you have a free radical. So if you exercise train yourself, then the free radical will increase. But you will eventually improve your performance after the cell is fully renewed. But there are the interesting study. If you train yourself, but you neutralize the free radical with vitamin C and vitamin E, then the training effect on improving performance and improving insulin sensitivity will disappear. So the free radical is quite important. So I would only say that for those people who has the high DHEAS level, that has the low free radical level, it's not because the DHEA is scavenged the free radical. It's because the system is already renewed.
Okay, thank you.
Nah ini harus diterjemahkan Prof.
Ketertarikan saya daripada DHEAS ini berkaitan akan menurun setelah 48 jam setelah latihan strength. Tadi dijelaskan di situ ada penurunan 48 jam setelah latihan. Kemudian kita membuat program lagi latihan kekuatan untuk meningkatkan kembali DHEAS. Pertanyaan saya berkaitan dengan EPO tadi. Penggunaan EPO dalam darah itu akan bisa bertahan berapa lama dalam tubuh? Terima kasih.
Continuing question about EPO. You know that this is will decline for the strengthening. If we give EPO, will how long will it sustain?
That is a good question, and I believe no one has been asked the question and tested the result. So this might be a very good study to pursue. We can collaborate.
Ya, pertanyaannya bisa dilanjutkan penawaran bisa meneliti bersama lagi. Ya, oke. Karena waktunya sudah.
Thank you for the question. sama-sama.
Kita ikhlas buat melihatkan seluruh kemampuan kita untuk membangun olahraga dan prestasi Indonesia. Terima kasih. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Terima kasih kepada Pimpinan Sabara Moderator. Hadirin yang berbahagia, selanjutnya penyerahan sertifikat dan cenderamata dari Universitas Negeri Surabaya kepada Profesor Ciawo PhD untuk temuan kesediaan Bapak Dr. Agus Haryanto MS selaku Dekan Fakultas Ilmu Keluarga Universitas Negeri Surabaya untuk menyerahkan sertifikat dan cenderamata kepada Profesor Ciawo PhD.
Yeah, I saw the scar and arrogant. Thank you. Thanks.
Acara akan dilanjutkan kembali di hari kedua besok pagi, Rabu 22 Oktober 2014 pukul 8 waktu Indonesia bagian Barat, masih di ruangan yang sama, ruang Amara. Kami informasikan bagi peserta yang belum mengisi biodata dan kuesioner, mohon untuk segera melengkapinya dan kami harap form biodata dan kuesioner besok pagi sudah bisa kami terima.
Ladies and gentlemen, our sessions today has already ended. Tomorrow will be the plenary speech, the third plenary speech and the fourth plenary speech by Professor Dr. Tek, PhD, from the National Institute of Education Singapore, Dr. Gregory J. Wilson, PhD, from the University of Western Australia, and also from State University of Surabaya, Professor Dr. Sukarto Kartono, PhD. We would like to thank you to attend our sessions today and see you tomorrow at 7:30.
Demikianlah atas nama panitia kami mengucapkan terima kasih atas kehadirannya. Sukses untuk kita semua. Wassalamualaikum